Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to episode number 97 of Songs of Selah here on 17 Numa Radio. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I'm your host, Scott Thomas Outler, and it is Monday, February 10th, 2020. Looking forward to tonight's episode. I'll be joined in the next segment by UK poet David Hanlon. He'll be coming on the show to discuss his new book, Spectrum of Flight, being published through Animal Heart Press. His poetry collection will be officially released on February 18th, but pre-orders are available now. And also on the show tonight will be founder and editor-in-chief of Animal Heart Press and a regular guest on this program, Elisabeth Horan. It's always a fun time when the AHP crew joins the program, so please stay tuned for our conversation, along with a poetry reading from everyone coming up shortly. I do encourage listeners to please take a moment and subscribe to the 17 Numa Radio channel. It's easy to do and it's free. All you have to do is click the follow button found on the page where this episode is streaming, and that'll get you signed up. A reminder to everyone that all past episodes of Songs of Selah can be accessed or downloaded for later listening from the archive here on the channel or from the Songs of Selah page at 17numa.com. Be sure to check out some of the recent episodes from so far this year when you're in the mood, featuring interviews with guests such as Don Biaquez, Heath Brocker, Rhonda Huff, Hetty Habra, Melissa Anderson, Dustin Pickering, and Anum Satar. Thank you to each of them for appearing. A big thank you as well to everyone who spreads the word about this program and shares episode links. Your support is greatly appreciated. I did want to also mention that submissions for the 2020 Setu Mag Western Voices Poetry Edition are now open. The guidelines for those submissions can be found on a new post up at 17numa.com. I want to thank Sunil Sharma and Anurag Sharma for allowing me the opportunity to guest edit this year's edition. I did so last year as well and received some amazing poetry to include in that issue. So I'm hoping that this year will bring about a similar response. It's going to be a pleasure reading through everyone's work, so please do send it our way soon, and feel free to spread the word to anyone you know who might be interested in doing the same. And since we have a poetry-themed program this evening, I thought I'd kick things off with a piece of mine that was published yesterday at Mad Swirl, operated out of Dallas, Texas. Big thank you to Johnny Olson and M.H. Clay for the great work they do at their venue and for regularly supporting my writing during the past 5 years. My God, how time flies. This one is titled Bloody Mirage. I want to chew on the old pages of war you tore from the scriptures, mostly eye for an eye, feast until blind. I want to sit silent and stupid at the top of some mountain, paralyzed in a yogi position until it all seems simple, but detachment never solved a single damn problem. I want to lick the tears from your cheeks and hear you sing about where the bones are buried, but mouths have run dry in this desert, so I'll bite my own tongue instead. Drama and chaos make the messiest bed. Alright, once again, that was Bloody Mirage, and that'll just about wrap things up here at the top of the show. Let's go to a music break now, and then come back on the other side with tonight's guests, David Hanlon and Elisabeth Horan. Stay tuned.
You took my sadness out of context at the Mariner's apartment complex. I ain't no candle in the wind. I'm the void, the lightning, the thunder, kind of girl who's gonna make you wonder who you are and who you've been. And who I've been is with you on these beaches. Your Venice bitch, your diehard, your weakness. Maybe I could save you from your sin. So kiss the sky and whisper to Jesus. My, you found this, you need this. Take a deep breath, baby, let me in. You lose your way, just take my hand. You're lost at sea, then I'll command your boat to meet again. Don't look too far, right where you are, that's where I am. I'm your man. I'm your man. They mistook my kindness for weakness. I fucked up, I know that, but Jesus, can a girl just do the best she can? Catch a wave and take in the sweetness. Think about it, the darkness, the deepness, all the things that make me who I am. And who I am is a big time believer that people can change, that you don't have to leave her when everyone's talking. You can make a stand. 'Cause even in the dark I feel your resistance. You can see my heart burning in the distance. Baby, 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 I'm your man. Yeah. You lose your way, just take my hand. You're lost at sea, then I'll command your boat to meet again. Don't look too far, right where you are, that's where I am. I'm your man. I'm your man. Catch a wave and take in the sweetness.
never questioned it. What if it was true that all we thought was right was wrong? Simple math, truth cannot be fractioned. I imply I've got to get it back then.
Welcome back to Songs of Selah here on 17 Numa Radio. If anyone is interested in appearing as a guest on a future episode, please feel free to get in contact with me via email at 17numa@gmail.com or connect and send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and I'd be happy to get you set up for an episode later this year. Tonight's guest, David Hanlon, is a Welsh confessional poet living in Bristol, England. He is a qualified counselor and therapist and is a Best of the Net nominee. His poems have been published in over 40 magazines, including Rust and Moth, Barron Magazine, Homology Lit, and many others. And his new chapbook, or full-length collection, Spectrum of Flight, is coming out on February 18th from Animal Heart Press. And also on the program today, we have Elisabeth Horan, the founder and editor-in-chief of Animal Heart Press, who is a frequent guest here on the show. So I want to welcome both of you to the program here tonight. How are y'all doing?
Hello.
Hi, David. Are you there? Did you get...
Hi, Ellie. I'm here.
Okay, good.
Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Scott. Thank you for having us on. It's wonderful to be here
Hi,
again,
Scott.
and always a pleasure.
Absolutely glad technical issues got worked out and everyone's here online. Good to have y'all here tonight, and looking forward to talking about this new book you've got coming out, David. You must be pretty excited at the moment.
Yeah, excited and nervous as well.
They sort of go together. It's got to have that balance there. It's a good thing. How'd you?
It's healthy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you initially get hooked up with Animal Heart Press?
It was very lucky. It was all through Twitter, actually. So a lot of networking. And it was Beth Gordon, a poet who read my work, and she really liked it, and she thought Animal Heart Press would be a good press for it. And yeah, we got in contact that way, and I knew I'd connected with Elisabeth already. So yeah, it was a very special thing that happened, really, for me.
Very cool. Yeah, a lot of good people there at Animal Heart Press, so I'm sure that you're in good hands with Beth and Amanda and Elisabeth and everyone working on your project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was so meant to be. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Go ahead, David.
I was going to say, yeah, it's just, the whole process, I felt so supported, so I highly recommend Animal Heart Press.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the book itself. Spectrum of Flight.
Yeah.
What are some of the themes and main ideas that you're tackling in this collection?
It's a very personal collection. Started writing poetry. I went through a really bad depression in my late 20s. And I didn't really know much about poetry. I just kind of started writing about the experience after it happened. And I guess it kind of came from that starting point, really. And then over the course of 2-3 years, I just sort of started writing more and more poems. So the themes is, it explores depression, it explores recovery. But it's also largely about my journey with my sexuality, really, and becoming more comfortable with that. And I kind of just wanted to talk about those issues because there's a lot of stigma around those things, and I think, that stops people from reaching out for help, and I think that's what happened with me. And so as much as it's scary, I find it quite scary being so vulnerable and personally revealing, for the bigger cause, that keeps me going, and keeps me strong, because I wanted to speak to people and help people through similar, who are going through similar experiences, similar hardships.
So the writing served as a cathartic process for you, working through
definitely
some of your personal life issues. And was writing or the arts something that you had been into before? You said you hadn't been writing poetry before that. Were you writing anything else, or was it just sort of came out of the blue?
I've got a degree in film studies, so I think that was what opened my mind a lot more, and kind of what led me to find that I was creative. I think before that, I remember I was in university and I was studying sociology, which I probably would really enjoy now, but at the time I was just not into it. I was very lost in my life and quite troubled, I think. And I just wasn't going to my lectures. And then one day I think I was like, woke up crazed in the middle of the night and rang one of my best friends and was like, what am I doing with my life? I need to do something creative or artsy. And then I decided to do a film studies course, which really, it really opened up my mind a lot to sort of, art, cinema and things. And so I think from that, really, I think that was my first creative sort of pursuit.
Well, I think it's important to realize that existential crises are not always a bad thing. Sometimes they can lead us down a path that opens up new awakenings.
Definitely. An early midlife crisis.
Well, you're in good company, I'm sure, to the people listening here tonight. We're all artists and poets and understand how that goes. So you start writing poetry, and what was the emphasis that got you motivated to start submitting your work to different journals? Because obviously you've had a lot of success already.
So I kind of, as I said, I started writing. I wasn't really sure what it was at that point. It was just sort of writing from my experiences. But I was also writing like comedic things as well, like just funny short stories and things. And I just started going to a local open mic night. Very nervous, but I read my first piece, which was it was actually a comedic piece about a mouse. We actually had a mouse in my house at the time, and I just wrote this kind of funny piece about kind of befriending the mouse, but also kind of hating it at the same time. It was a lot funnier than it might sound. But I also, so I had that, but then I also had the really serious stuff I was writing, the very personal and raw stuff. And I heard a lady called Christina Thatcher read poems from her book. She's a poet, an American poet who her book is called More Than You Were, and it's about the loss of her father through addiction. So I heard her read, and it was one of those moments, where you hear someone read, and I was so captivated and drawn to her work, and I just found it really brave, and I just really connected with it, and I approached her, and she became my mentor. So she helped me learn more about the craft of poetry, and it kind of went from there, really. So I'm very thankful to Christina Thatcher because she is a big part of the beginning of my journey.
When you're dealing with such personal issues and working through those emotions that you're obviously dealing with in a heightened sense, is there a sense of liberation that has come with your expression so far?
Yeah, because I don't know, it kind of comes in waves, to be honest. You know, I do get quite anxious about it. You know, I think I wrote a tweet recently saying, oh, when your book is starting to sell and your whole self is inside it, with like a kind of anxious face, because it feels like, you know, I've kind of put my whole self into it, and then it's being put out into the world. You know, and that is kind of exposing and it makes you feel vulnerable, but it's all part of the things I've been working on and the things that I think it's important that we tackle, you know, that we see vulnerability as a strength. So, you know, my sort of mindset kind of has changed, and I think that's what pushes me forward and gives me the strength to kind of keep going with it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And kudos to you for putting your energy out there into the world in such a way where you're trying to not only lift yourself up, but anyone else who reads the poems. That's what this community is all about, bringing that expression to life and showing that everyone is on that same page, really. We're all dealing with these complications of this beautiful and burdensome world or life that we live with. And so congratulations on the new book coming out.
I think poetry is such a good format for that, or, you know, the poet, the world of poetry, I think, especially now, modern poetry, you know, a lot of poets are tackling these issues and talking about things that, you know, we don't talk about, and how when we don't talk about them, that actually damages our mental health. I think that's been a massive sort of comfort and support. You know, you don't even need to know people, just reading people's books, you know, like I think one of the first books I read which really spoke to me was by Andrew Macmillan, Physical, you know, and he talks a lot about sexuality and how it's perceived by people, and sort of homophobia, really, I guess. You know, when other people are doing it, it kind of gives you that strength to have your voice, and it kind of gives you the strength to have your own voice. So I do find it a really, you know, comforting world to be in, really. Just so grateful, you know, to be a part of that world, really.
Yeah, it's great to find that community where the commonality and camaraderie can be there. And when you're putting yourself out into the world in the way that you are now, how has the reaction from your friends and family been so far?
Yeah, they've been really, really supportive. I've been quite shy about it, so I haven't really. Maybe because there's been fear as well, so I've kind of taken a long time to sort of. I kind of haven't been shouting it from the rooftops, I guess. And then when people do find out, they're like, "Why haven't you told me that?" You know. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." So, but yeah, you know, everyone has been so supportive, and I think there is still that fear of being judged. I think when you've been through experiences like that, you know, a massive part of the book is also about bullying, you know, because I was bullied very badly in school, and I think that stays with you, and to some extent you do fear judgment. I guess everyone fears judgment, but it's interesting how you can be wrong, you know, how actually you can say something you think you wouldn't tell anyone, and then actually people support you. And and that can be really validating, I think. So yeah, nobody said anything negative. I kind of met a few friends the other night, and they were just kind of joking, like, "Oh, if we don't like it, we'll ask for our money back or something." But I think they're only messing around, really. But I'm wondering as well how accessible it is. I think maybe it is a bit experimental, but I think even if you don't read poetry or keep up with that, I still think you would get the message, and I think the feelings are conveyed quite well, and I think that it would still have an effect on you. That's what I hope, anyway.
Well, absolutely, and poetry is such a subjective and personal reflection that as long as you're doing and putting forth what you truly believe in and what's at your core, then at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And so it's just icing on the cake that you've had a positive response to it so far. And you had mentioned that, you haven't been necessarily shouting it from the rooftops to this point, but I noticed that there's an upcoming event there in the UK that I think that you and both Elisabeth are going to be reading at. Can you talk a bit about what that's going to be?
Yeah, so it's very exciting. We're doing a bit of a mini UK tour. So we're starting in Birmingham, reading in Birmingham, and then we're going to Nottingham, and we're going to Manchester, and then we're going to Liverpool, and then we're finishing in Bristol, where I live. So it's very exciting. It's going to be an unforgettable experience. So yeah, people can come along and find us at those events. Obviously, we'll share more on Facebook and social media. But it's been really great working with Elisabeth, and she's just been so supportive. And we kind of, we're doing all our train bookings and our hotel bookings just a few nights ago. So getting organised. But yeah, it's exciting, definitely.
Very cool. And Elisabeth, you want to jump in here and talk a little bit about what it's going to be like traveling over there to the UK and reading at these events? I don't know if Elisabeth is with us at the moment, but we've got David Hanlon here on the line, author of Spectrum of Flight.
Hi, I'm here. I hit mute with my cheek, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're there.
Sorry.
We were talking about this upcoming series of readings that the two of you are going to be doing over there in the UK.
No, and I've heard everything, but I clearly had muted myself. So that, and maybe that was for the best for all this time. But oh my gosh, what I wanted to say was congratulations to you, David. We are so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. This book, Scott, he talks so humbly about it. But I keep saying to my press and my staff that this is a book that should win awards. I mean, the what he does with his poetry craft is incredible, and the content of this book is so brave. It is, like he mentioned, being about bullying. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're gay or disabled or mentally ill or whatever it is. Like, we all understand what it's like to be bullied for something we can't fix or change, And I think that's so the core of this book. I mean, it's also about, redemption and overcoming and learning to love yourself and accepting. But, that just really struck me when he said that, especially with our culture right now with bullying and I don't know. Okay, I got off track. I wanted to say congratulations. But also, so I'm going over to the UK, and February 26th, and I'm going to meet David in Birmingham for our first reading. And so I'm launching Alcoholic Betty, which is also a very, very confessional book. And the two of us, right, David, like I think we have, I don't know, I think our poetic voices are similar in their ability to kind of like dig deep and just show. We're just like showing the world our insides, for better or for worse. And I also totally understand like this feeling of like with Alcoholic Betty, I don't find myself overly tweeting or promoting because I have a fear, and I think I'm trying to come to terms with that, you know, like how do we put something out here that is this personal, and then we're kind of like, oh my God, what did I do? Right? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. But we're we're doing like 5 cities in 5 days, and we're going to go read these poems for better, for worse, right, David? It's going to be good.
Yeah.
And
Together.
we've got a whole line of travel lodges set up to stay at, and David's booked our trains, and like we are ready to go. It's good. It's very good. It's very exciting. I can't honestly believe it that I get to do this, but I do.
Right on. That sounds like an awesome experience coming up.
It's so awesome.
Great.
Oh my God.
So, David, what has your experience been like over there and where you live, the area in the UK, as far as the poetry and art scene is concerned?
Yeah, Bristol is has a very thriving art scene. That's a big part of the reason why I moved here. I'm from Cardiff in Wales, and Bristol is only an hour away in England. But I'd come here, I'd visited quite a bit. And yeah, there's just so much going on here, that so much art and culture. So, you know, I decided to move here because I wanted to get more involved in open mic nights and get involved in the scene. And I haven't really done that, actually. So I've been quite lazy. But I was also studying, doing my counselling course, which took up a lot of time. I actually was commuting from Bristol to Barry, which is a small town further than Cardiff. So it ended up being a bit of a nightmare, a bit of a bad decision, but I really wanted to live in Bristol. So it just took up all my time, and I haven't really had much chance to sort of get in the scene, and maybe I'm a bit disappointed in myself for that. But there's always time, you know. I'm here, and you know, with the book coming out now, I think this will give me that push, kick that I need to get out there more. I did do a reading last year, and it's just amazing how even from one reading you can get so many connections. So a Bristol poet, Matt Duggan, had his book launch for his book Woodworm a few months ago now, might be longer than that. And he, you know, I just connected with him through Twitter, and he invited me to be a guest reader. And it was the first time I'd read in 2 or 3 years. So I kind of had those feelings, you know, when you feel like, oh God, I've lost all my confidence now, because I've kind of built it all up before I'd left to move, before I'd moved here, and then I just didn't get into the scene here. But yeah, I'm excited to get back out there and to actually read these poems, because I think I've been really focused on the writing. You know, I've been doing a lot of writing, which is fine. Sometimes you're in that sort of mode, but I think now I'm in a place where I just want to read these poems, because there's something about reciting them and to an audience, which is going to be, I don't know, even more, I don't know what the word is, but it's just something I want to do, because I haven't done it yet. So I'm looking forward to reading them tonight as well, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned Matt Duggan, because a couple of years ago. That's the only time I've ever been to the UK, was reading at an event with him at the Poetry Society.
Yeah.
I think in Camden near Piccadilly Circus, over in that area.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great time over there. So definitely meeting some great poets. Matt's a brilliant man.
And there we go. That just shows how it's a small world, and you've met Matt. And we're actually going to be reading with Matt in, I'm pretty sure it's Birmingham.
Matt's coming to Birmingham, yep.
Reading with Matt in Birmingham. So that is another great thing. Ellie connected with him on Twitter, and I didn't even know that had happened. And then it was really great to see, oh wow, we're reading with Matt as well, and I know Matt, and I've connected with Matt. So it's just nice, isn't it, when and it's amazing how you go to one event and you can make so many connections, and everyone's so supportive. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there, and the more you get out there, the more opportunities that come your way. So that is exciting as well, definitely. And it's going to be really exciting.
Like this tour, we've ended up having Matt come into it, and Anna Saunders, and who else, David? The Broken Spine Arts guys. And, I mean, just people, you can just reach out and be like, hey, I'll be in the UK. Do you want to read together? And more often than not, they say yeah. So, and I mean, pulling this tour together was something else. But it's worked, and now we just have to go do it. And that's going to be the reward and the fun part. Oh, and Miggy Angel, we get to go see Miggy in Nottingham. It's going to be insane. So it's going to be good. But I'm so happy, like, David, it's going to be like you and me, we're like going to be these two poets cruising the country together. And it's so special. It's really, really special to do it together like this with both of our books. And, really something.
We are going to have
it's going to be so great.
Fantastic time, I'm sure. And Elisabeth, you just mentioned Miggy Angel. I think she's going to be coming on the show on March 2nd, and then. Oh, really?
Oh, good. Okay. I will try to call in, but that's when I'm flying back from UK. My goodness. Is he coming on for his Boy Bestiary book? Is that the idea? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Well, because that's the book that I'm doing at Ice Flow, so with Robert Kenter. So I really would like to be able to listen to that, but I might be on an airplane. We'll see. But Miggy is crazy brilliant, and his book is like David's in that it's something I've never seen before. Both of those books, when I saw them the first time, felt like, nope, no one's ever done this, and that's always what I'm looking for as an editor.
I love the title.
And they both did that big time for me. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to talk about David's work. I was reading over some of the poems that he's had published in different journals today. And, you had mentioned, David, that you weren't really involved in poetry before this, but your work really stands out. You go into the experimental line breaks and just really delving into some sophisticated, verses for someone who hasn't been in poetry that long. What do you think brought on that creativity or the ability to tap into that emotion so quickly?
Well, and to get the that excellent so easily. I mean, he makes it look very, very easy, and it's not. So, go ahead, David. I just the way you play with words is exceptional.
I do want to mention. So Christina Thatcher was my first mentor, and then I started a new relationship with Savannah Sloan, who is an American poet, and we're still working together now. Yeah, my work just was growing, and I think she just helped me so much with sort of looking at line breaks and stuff. You know, I've always been somebody who uses too many words, you know. So I think, but you know, both Christine and Savannah have been amazing mentors, and I think they really helped me to be more economic and terse with my language. But yeah, you know when you feel like somebody's had an influence on you in a really good way, they've kind of brought out just developed my craft. You know, my craft has developed, and I guess the more you learn about poetry, you know, you progress. Of course you do. Yeah, and I think it's, you know, I didn't realize how much, you know, a line break can really change the whole meaning, you know, of a poem. It can be so powerful, you know, a line break can be so powerful. And I think it's really, when you connect with that, I think it's really great. And you know, you just have so much to work with then, you know.
Especially when you're working with free verse, and the idea of it almost being jazz that you're playing upon the page and the rhythms that flow. And a poet named Foligno Soriano passed away a couple of years ago, but was one of the greats. Was really beautiful in that regard, and I saw some of his style in your work as well as I was reading it today, which is a compliment for sure.
Oh, really? What's the name? I'll have to write that down. Sorry.
Foligno Soriano.
Soriano.
Yeah, I'll send you the name after the show, but definitely check his work out. And but sorry, Elisabeth, you were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, I guess I was listening to David talking about his mentors and line breaks, and it's fabulous, and I totally hear that. But there's something that David does that is that's just him, that I don't think anyone can really teach. Like you either have that genius or you don't, and he has it. And if he went on and got an MFA and did all this stuff and whatever, like, he'd be more brilliant, but he already has it. You know, and so when I got his manuscript that day from Beth Gordon wrote me and said, I think you should take a look at this. And I've told David I read the first poem, and I accepted it. I mean, I eventually read the rest of it, but I accepted it on the first poem because like I said, it's something that I had never seen before, and it's so original in the line breaks, yes, but it's like it's more than that. It's the imagery, it's the complexity of the words, it's the flow, it's the tone, it's the timbre. It's really really incredible work. Really incredible work, and I just I believe in it very, very deeply. That's all I wanted to say.
David, now that we've both built you up here,
I know, right?
The show, why don't we turn the floor over to you and let you read a few of your pieces, if you don't mind.
Of course, yeah. I think Ellie said she was going to read one of the poems, so I'll leave that one for her to read.
Do you want me to read one first? Yeah. Well,
I don't mind. Yeah.
This
you'd like to read that
this
first?
poem. Go ahead.
I was going to say I put them sort of in the order of how they appear in the book, because I thought that would be good.
Okay.
You know.
And this is the first one, right?
And it's fun, yeah. So if you want to go, that'll be great.
Sure, I'd love to. And this is the poem that I literally accepted the book on after reading. And if anyone knows me, I also write a lot about roadkill and comparing myself with it, and David does this incredibly beautifully. So this is the intro poem to his collection. I'll never forget the dead fox on the roadside with its guts hanging out. That's the title. Because I'd never seen a fox on my council estate before. Because the first time I did, it was daylight. Because I, too, only came out in the dark. Because its body was slack, as if half-tied, overflowing bin bag dumped on a curbside, its fur bloodied, matted, with small bits of rubber and gravel. Because days later it was swarming with flies, and, if you got close enough, the smell of rotting flesh, sharp and fetid, coated itself thick as plasterboard on your nostril walls. Because I imagined unrelenting screeches, machine versus feral. How someone had torn tire through muscle, easy as unzipping a tent, untangled its mass from their bumper, then carried it and discarded it on the roadside. How grueling this must have been, yet how tossed like a pancake the creature looked, because it was the embodiment of abandon, because it was disemboweled. Bruised, purple, swollen spaghetti, marinated in roadkill crimson, because I, too, had been gutted by a district called home. Because one time, a bully from entrance to exit held a penknife against my gut as I panic-walked through the local shopping center, trainers scuffing and screeching against the bubble-patterned rubber flooring, each bubble rising into a gravestone. Because it was stillness after chaos. Because we walked past it every day on our way to school, hands, blinds, tremble covering our eyes as we peeked through open slat fingers. Because it was facing away from us, and I never saw its face, just its triangle ears that looked pricked. Because against all reason, this still gave me some droplet of hope, because that is how I learnt to endure. Because it was pet smooth, coat, fire life. Because it was a festering knot of blood-soaked snakes. Because it was more outside of itself than in. Because it was limp, gone, dead. Because it was honest. Because when it was finally gone, our neighborhood, a body, it was surgically removed from, with not a trace of flesh or entrails left, not a speck of blood. It was as if nothing had happened, because it was always like this.
Very nice reading. Beautiful poem.
Beautiful
Thank you, Ellie.
poem.
That was really beautiful, that reading.
Thank you, dear. So, David, maybe when we go on tour, I'll read yours and you can read mine, and we can switch
Let's
out.
do that. Why not?
I think that's a great idea, actually. When we're feeling nervous, I'm like, I'm just going to read David's.
Yeah. I think we should do that.
Yep.
All right, so
Anyway,
that was
thank you.
the opening poem from the new book, Spectrum of Flight, and February 18th is the release date on that?
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
it is. Yep, we're in pre-orders now. You can go to
1 week away.
Press. Yep, 1 week away. Yep, and put in a pre-order and support independent presses and David, and yeah. Coming very
Go
soon.
check out Animal Heart Press, and you can find the pre-order page there at the site. And
Yeah,
I'm going
thank
to turn
you.
the floor over to David now to read a couple more pieces from it.
Very good.
I'll read the second poem from the book, and it's called Swimming Lessons. They say I am gay, taunt, bully me. They think they know the damage. They don't. What is this word? I do not know. I know more words than them, but this one is out of reach. Still, the decision has been made. It is me. It is bad. I am bad. When I learn what it is, come to realize for myself that I am it. I think, how could they have known this about me before I did? Why am I this bad thing? I try to hide it. I can't. I was thrown into the river behind that schoolyard and spent years swimming against the current. At last I made it upstream, a gay man, bathing, floating, wondering what they would say now if I told them how lucky I feel that I became a strong swimmer.
Oh, David, I love that one so much. Oh, my goodness. So powerful.
Feel quite emotional.
Yeah, it is. It's very emotional. It's okay. We got you. And, oh, yeah. Well done. Well done, sweetheart.
That's a big part of the book as well, is that, from these experiences, the book really tries to show how damaging, bullying and homophobia is, because it was really damaging. Right. But it's also about how, the book is really about hope and about how we can become stronger from these experiences, because that's what actually happened to me is when I went through my depression later in life, I came out of that and I'm more resilient than I've ever been. I really was. Before I went into that depression, my mental health and everything was not as good as it is after coming out of it. So there's something amazing in throughout all that turmoil and distress and despair. There's this light, this amazing thing, that the human capacity human ability to be so resilient, I guess. When you really don't think you are.
And isn't that amazing?
There's times where you really don't think you're going to get through something, and you don't know that you're that resilient, and it's scary and uncertain, and then you come out of these experiences and you realise that you're much stronger than you think you are. And that's the message I want to give to people, that are going through such hard times, is that, it will end and you will get through it. That's the message I want to give, of hope. Really.
Yeah, and the book has it has a lot of difficult poems in it, that punch you right in the gut with the pain and the difficult times that David endured and that so many people have endured from bullying, for being gay, whatever. But at the same time, the spectrum of flight, it takes you from the bottom to the top, and David emerges. It amazes me, your strength, my darling. Where the book ends up is incredible, and it does give hope. It's a gift to so many people that you have the strength to share this, and then other people might read it and say, you know what, I'm okay too, and I deserve to be able to kiss my boyfriend in public. I deserve to be able to say fuck you to the bullies. No, thank you. I'm so proud of you. It's such a gift that you're giving to the world, and it's scary, but it's a huge gift. And I'm just
thank you, Eddie.
Feeling,
Well, that
really
is a
powerful.
wonderful message about the resiliency of the human spirit and always pressing forward and realizing that the light will be found even in those darkest hours. So we've got about 2.5 minutes left here in the show. David, I want to turn it back over to you. I think we've got time for one more poem here tonight.
Okay, I'll go with, it relates to what we're talking about. So, how the resilience and coming out of it stronger. So, this poem is called Backbone. Adversity like a clawed bear, hacks away at flesh, muscle, blood, and rips out, tears apart my spine until I am an invertebrate. Even hugs are scary. I want to burrow myself into the nape of his neck, let my body, limpened, sluggish with shame, slip down, slip away, mollusk-like, into his spinal cord. But I don't. Instead, in time, I will take what he has given me and use it to rebuild my body, the tougher flesh, stronger muscle, faster flowing blood. I can regrow bone by bone until I stand taller than I ever was.
Very nice. And thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
poems here tonight, David, and thank you as well, Elizabeth,
So beautiful.
for coming on the program.
Of course. Of course.
I hope that y'all's trip throughout the UK,
Mm-hmm.
all those visits coming up, goes wonderfully well. I'm sure that it will. Sounds like an exciting adventure. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in here tonight and listening and helping to spread the word about the show by sharing episode links. Appreciate that from everyone. We'll be back here next Monday on the 17th with Valentin Sandoval at 8 p.m. Eastern. So David and Elizabeth, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Scott, for having me.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great rest of the week ahead.
Thank you, Scott, so much. Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on with me, Ellie.
Of course, my darling, and I can't wait for our time.
Our adventure, as Scott said, it is.
It's gonna be a wild, fun party, and I can't wait. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Me too. Very excited.
Love you, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, David. You're just a brilliant poet, and also my dear friend. So well done.
Thank you, Ellie. It would never be happening if it wasn't for you. So I'm forever grateful.
Yeah. Thank you, sweetheart.
When you have people who believe in your work, that really does make such a difference, you know? Makes all the difference.
It does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. And we had a good time also editing the manuscript together. That was wonderful, and I enjoyed that so much, having that privilege to kind of tweak it with you. It was already there. It was already completely there, but then we just made it perfect. Yeah, that was so fun.
And you were also patient and supportive. I couldn't have asked for anything more. Really couldn't.
Sweetheart, thank you. Thank you for being my beautiful author.
I feel like
really
getting coffee with each other now.
I think we're going to have, like, the most amazing time. It's going to be just super, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah. So good.
They've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having us on here and giving me the space to talk about my book, Scott. I really appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed your work, David. And the live show is over, but we're into the second hour here. So anyone in the archive will hear these last couple of minutes. But just want to thank both of y'all again for coming on. You're welcome back anytime, David. Elizabeth,
thank
obviously, anytime. And
thanks, Scott.
It's always a pleasure.
And I just want to say, like, one last thing at our press, like in our little press family, we're always like, oh, David's voice, you know, like it's the most soothing, beautiful thing I've ever heard. I mean, that sounds so silly, but it's not. Like, David, you just have, your voice is just this, like, blessing upon us, and all of us were like, oh, just listening to David is so soothing and lovely.
That's so nice to hear, because, you know, voice is something I was so conscious about, you know, and so that's really nice to hear.
Well, it's working for you now, honey.
Yeah.
You've got all us poets all enraptured. It's beautiful and lovely and soothing. Bless you, honey. Yay. Just an Animal Heart Press tidbit.
And everyone go check out Animal Heart Press and get the new book, Spectrum of Flight, from David Hanlon, and check out all their other wonderful titles as well. Do a lot of great work there, Ellie. So appreciate what you do.
Thank you, Scott, and
You'll
thank
have a great
you, and
week ahead.
yeah, thank you for all you give back to us, and promoting authors and presses is just such a gift, Scott. So thank you always. Truly.
I'll keep doing it. I enjoy it. Enjoy talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Hearing y'all's poems.
Yeah.
It's always a fun night. So we will do it again soon.
All right, cool. Thank you,
Real.
Scott, so much.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in here tonight. That was David Hanlon, his book Spectrum of Flight, and we will be back next Monday on the 17th. As always, here on 17 Numa Radio. Selah.
Welcome to the infinite black skies.